None shall pass.
Wait, what?
None shall pass.
Dad, what are you doing?
I stand aside for no one.
You don't even look like the Black Knight.
Then you must die.
No. 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 See, I'm gonna go upstairs and come up with a real bit. You can stand there all day for all I care. You're holding a broom. I mean, it's just like, it's ridiculous. I'm trying to think of a bit for this YouTube channel and you're standing there, oh, not so bad. You don't even look like the Black Knight. You put the minimal amount of effort you can into an outfit. It's just, oh, it's freaking annoying. Hey, it's Jay, and it's finally time for me to talk about my second favorite film of all time, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Now, for a little backstory, Monty Python is a comedy troupe of British comedians, Graham Chapman, John Cleese, Eric Idle, Terry Jones, Michael Palin, and one American comedian, Terry Gilliam, who was also in charge of doing all the animations for the show. They had a show called Monty Python's Flying Circus, where they did a bunch of sketch troupe comedies live, kind of like Saturday Night Live, except the Pythons were pretty much playing every character. They played men, women, they did all sorts of things. It's an extremely funny show. I highly recommend you check it out. Any sketches you can, they're all great. And they've made 3 feature-length films. They made this, Holy Grail, Meaning of Life, and Life of Brian. But none of them quite matched the level of awesomeness that is Holy Grail. So let's get into the plot because, man, I'm so excited to talk about this one. So in 932 AD, we focus on Arthur, King of the Britons, played by Graham Chapman, and his squire Patsy, played by Terry Gilliam. He is scouring through Britain to find knights for his Knights of the Round Table in his quest to find the Holy Grail. Along the way, he recruits Sir Lancelot the Brave, played by John Cleese, Sir Bedivere the Wise, played by Terry Jones, Sir Galahad the Pure, played by Michael Palin, and Sir Robin the not quite so brave as Sir Lancelot, played by Eric Idle. And of course, we can't forget about the 6th Knight, Sir, not appearing in this film. And yeah, they are on a quest now to find the Holy Grail. So on their way to Camelot, they are turned away thanks to a rather silly musical number called Knights of the Round Table, and it's actually revealed that God is the one who gave them the task to go find the Holy Grail. Hang on, let me just get the name. The image of God used is actually of W.G. Grace, who he was a cricketer, cricket. That weird sport. So, I don't know why they decided to do that, but it's Monty Python, so nothing they do makes any sense. So yeah, God tells them that they need to go and seek the Holy Grail. So, that's what they go off to do. So, the group of knights travel the land to try to find clues for where this Holy Grail is, and they come across a castle occupied by very rude French knights. And our brave heroes are bombarded by literal barn animals getting hurled at them. Ducks, chickens. They launch a cow at them at one point, and they must retreat, or as they say, run away! And they have to, run away. Sir Bedivere comes up with a great plan to bring in a Trojan, rabbit, I guess. And there's only one problem with their plan. Their plan originally was to put the Trojan rabbit up by the door of the castle and hide inside and jump out later at night to ambush the French knights. But it doesn't quite work out that way because they forgot to hide inside, and their plan backfires as the rude French knights literally launch the Trojan rabbit at our heroes, killing one of the squires because remember, the other 4 knights squires are all along the troop with our heroes as well. So, yeah, not a very smart plan. It seems like nothing's going well for our heroes right now. So, in order to cover more ground, King Arthur suggests that they all go their separate ways, with the exception of Bedivere, who's going to stay with Arthur, to cover more ground to try to find clues to this Holy Grail. In what I can only guess is modern day, but is it really modern day? I don't know, I'll explain later. A historian is recounting the tales of Arthur and how he, got to be where he was, when a knight on horseback just comes with a lance and just slashes this dude's throat. It comes out of nowhere, thus launching a police investigation. Arthur and Bedivere come across the dreaded knights who say "Ni," and in order to get the answers and to get let through the forest, they must find a shrubbery. Da-na-na. I don't know. It's remember, this is Monty Python. Nothing's supposed to make sense. And Robin, Sir Robin, narrowly avoids a fight with the three-headed knight because they're too busy arguing with themselves about who should kill who, what they should have. Should they have tea and biscuits, or scones, as they would say? He's able to escape because, remember, Sir Robin is not very brave. And he's relentlessly mocked by his musical accompaniment that, journeys with them on this trip. So it seems like all of our heroes are coming up short in terms of the clues they need to find this Holy Grail. So Sir Galahad has an illusion shown of the Holy Grail at this one castle that is inhabited by a bunch of women led by Zoot, played by Carol Cleveland, who is a regular on Monty Python's Flying Circus. They tell him that he was hallucinating and they must take care of him because these are all women, and I think they enjoy the company of a man a little too much. However, when Sir Galahad thinks it's okay to stay, after certain tasks are foreshadowed, he is saved by Sir Lancelot, much to his chagrin. And Sir Lancelot's quest is he is summoned to a castle by a note attached to an arrow about a princess who is in danger, and she's being held against her will. So it's up to Lancelot to go save this poor princess. And he goes and he murders pretty much everybody in this castle, only to find out that it's an effeminate prince whose father had arranged the marriage and is locked in the tower, and the father only arranged the marriage to get her huge tracts of land. So Sir Lancelot kind of has second thoughts about it, and they go, and he has to kind of apologize to everybody, all the guests, that he is brutally slaughtered. And he also pushes the effeminate prince out the window, but he survives, and they sing a song he's going to tell about how he feels about love and how he just wants to be free and sing, which his father constantly shuts down. So still no clues as to where this Grail is, so I think it's finally time for our heroes to reconvene. So our knights regroup, and they are joined by three new knights: Sir Bors, Sir Gawain, and Sir Ector. And they're also joined by Brother Maynard and his monks. They then come across a very powerful sorcerer who's blasting fire and blowing things up everywhere by the name of Tim. And he tells them that the clues are in a cave guarded by, hold on one second, I just don't want to butcher the name, guarded by the rabbit of Cabernog. And Sir Bors fatally underestimates the power of this rabbit. Tim has explained to them that this thing is deadly. Look at the bones! And they're like, it's just a stupid rabbit, and call him a bunch of British insults. And so yeah, Sir Bors goes in there confidently to go slash this rabbit to bits, only to have this thing gore the hell out of Sir Bors. It also takes the lives of Sir Gawain and Sir Ector, as the other knights charge in a bloody battle that leaves them with just the 5 knights we had before. And they then devise a plot to use the holy hand grenade of Antioch. Sorry, these names are really hard to pronounce. It's tough to get off the top of my head. So they use the holy hand grenade of Antioch, which they have this long, absurd Bible passage as to how it works. And, it's obviously mocking scriptures that sometimes they can carry on a little bit long with, how immense of detail there are in them. And, they're talking about eating like fruit bats and breakfast cereals and all that. And talking about how much time you have to hold the hand grenade before you throw it. It just goes on forever, talking about how you can't count to 2 or 4, and definitely you can't count to 5. You gotta count to 3 and then throw it. A running joke throughout the movie is that Arthur can't count to 3 for some reason. He always goes 1, 2, 5. So, because when they lose the 3 knights, they're like, okay, so we lost 5 and 3, sir. Yeah, 3. So then he counts 1, 2, 5 and throws the hand grenade, but not before they say 3, which he would have held it for longer than 3 seconds, but whatever. I'm not going to question Monty Python again. If you question Monty Python, you're not really understanding what makes Monty Python Monty Python. It's not meant to be questioned, just meant to be enjoyed. And so they blow up the rabbit and are able to enter the cave to seek the answers that they need, and maybe we'll finally get this Holy Grail. So inside the cave, they see the inscriptions of Joseph of Arimathea, and he directs them to the castle of Arg, which is what was actually inscribed in the wall, which Brother Maynard is reading to them to, that's where they need to go next. However, a gigantic monster with like 1,000 eyes appears and eats Brother Maynard, which is presumably why it's called Castle of Arg, because he must have been, Joseph Arimathea, must have been eaten by this monster. So a chase ensues, and our heroes are narrowly escaping with their lives when the animator dies of a massive heart attack. Again, the animations are done by Terry Gilliam, and they just break the fourth wall, this really random moment where he just suffers a heart attack, and that's what stops the chase of this giant monster, and they're able to escape and continue on to their journey. So they then come across the Gorge of Eternal Peril, and they must cross the Bridge of Death, but not before answering 3 questions from the man from Scene 24, and yes, that's exactly what he's called, the man from Scene 24. I think you all know this skit. I feel like even if you haven't seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, you know these 3 questions. What is your name? What is your quest? What is your favorite color? That's what Sir Lancelot gets, and of course he answers it perfectly so he can go across the bridge. Sir Robin is like, that's easy, and he goes up, answers his name, answers his quest, answers his favorite color, says blue, but then changed it to yellow, but since he got it wrong, he gets launched into the Gorge of Eternal Peril. So then the next night goes, Sir Galahad, and he gets asked name, quest, but then he gets thrown a question which is a reference to one of the jokes at the very beginning of the movie about unladen swallows and what they can hold in terms of how they can fly. And of course he doesn't know that. And Arthur pulls a fast one on the man from Scene 24 and asks him European or African. And since the man from Scene 24 can't answer that, he gets thrown into the Gorge of Eternal Peril, and they're able to cross the Bridge of Death, only to find out that Lancelot is nowhere to be found. We then cut away to see that he's being pat down by the police who are conducting the investigation of that historian's death from earlier in the movie. So that's very strange. But Arthur and Bedivere continue their quest. So Arthur and Bedivere finally come to the Castle of Arg, only to find out that it's been occupied by those taunting French knights from earlier in the film. And after being humiliated by being showered by manure, they summon an army that would put Endgame to shame at how massive it is. And when they charge the castle to take their castle for what they worked for this entire movie, the police show up and arrest everybody involved, or at least our knights, for the murder of that historian. And that's how the movie ends. He breaks the camera, and that's literally how it ends. Perfect way to end a Monty Python movie. Oh my god, I love this film so much. I love Monty Python for its out of left field humor. Just everything about Monty Python is great. The oddness of the sketches, the insanity that is the animations by Terry Gilliam, and just how much the jokes hit home. Something from as subtle as Patsy clicking the 2 coconuts together to imitate horse hooves, because they're not on horses at all throughout this movie. They're just like, they're doing this. They're doing motions as if they're riding a horse. And their squires are all clicking coconuts behind them. Jokes like that. And jokes that were mentioned at the beginning of the film do come up later on. The whole talk about a swallow being able to carry a coconut. Later on in the film, when Arthur meets up with Bedivere, he's trying to make a swallow fly with a coconut. And if you blink, you'll miss jokes like that. And that whole scene when he's recruiting Bedivere with the witch is just hilarious. It's in that time period. They're making fun of the Salem witch trials, where you could just say that person's a witch, and then they'd be like, "Oh, nope, we gotta hang her." Like how crazy that time period was. And the amazing logic is, if she weighs the same as a duck, that means she's made of wood, which means she's a witch, because that's why witches burn. They're made of wood, and wood floats, and so does a duck. That's just. I mean, come on, that's common sense. It's great. I love that whole exchange at how scholarly they think they sound, when it's just that makes no sense at all. A lot of things can weigh the same as a duck. Does that mean that they're witches too? But she does end up weighing the same as a duck, which is kind of witchcraft. So maybe she actually was a witch. I don't know. We'll have to find out. Well, I mean, we don't know. She got burnt. And just like the Knights Who Say Knee, the genius of the writing is, the Knights Who Say Knee, their one weakness is the word it. I-T, it. They did the whole first segment where they're talking about finding a shrubbery. They didn't say it once in that. And the phone's ringing, and it's really obnoxious that it is. But I'm going to talk over it because I really don't care. So it's just genius. They didn't say it once. How does that even, that's really genius. It is a very common word in the English language. And it's just amazing that they're able to write that whole thing without using the word it. And then they tell them to cut down a tree with a herring, like a little fish. It's just, if they didn't say the word it, they would be in a lot of trouble because they'd be cutting down a tree with a herring. Just great songs like that. And Sir Robin's song about how he's such a coward and a chicken is amazing. I'm not going to sing it here because there's some kind of bad language, and it's kind of violent imagery. And the Black Knight, which we parodied before with my dad, that's just a great scene too, how he's unwilling to give up, even though he's literally just a stump by the end of that whole fight against King Arthur, who's a very skilled swordsman. Just everything about this film is great. The jokes hit home. The random ending where the cops show up and just arrest everybody is so Monty Python. I don't know. I love it. I think it's fantastic. This is the film that kind of got me introduced to Monty Python. I had seen a couple sketches in Flying Circus when my parents would be watching it, but Holy Grail was my first real experience with it, and I'm really happy I was able to see it and enjoy it as much as I did, and enjoy it enough that it becomes my second favorite film of all time, missing out just barely by my first favorite film, which will be coming very, very soon. I cannot wait to show you guys what my favorite film of all time is. I don't think you're expecting what it is. I really don't. It's not a Marvel movie, as much as I love the Marvel movies. They are in no way deserving of a #1 slot on my favorite film of all time. But the answer may surprise you. It's kind of a psychotic pick, if you ask me. But before I get to that, next week I will be reviewing the sequel to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. I will be reviewing Dr. Sleep. I was lucky enough to see it in advance thanks to More Reviews, who was on this channel when we were talking about Far From Home. He was able to hook me up with a ticket to see it 2 weeks in advance, and I'm really happy I did. But I will delve into what I think about Dr. Sleep, because remember, like I said in my top 5 list last week, I love The Shining. It's one of my favorite horror movies. So I can't wait to talk to you guys about how I thought of Dr. Sleep. And then after that, it will be #1. That's right, #1. Special thanks to my dad for being such a good sport and helping me film this. Yeah, if you guys want to get notified when I upload Dr. Sleep, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff so you get notified. Click the bell icon so you don't, miss out on my uploads, because why would you want to do that? And until next time, guys, that's a wrap. I almost completely forgot about my final verdict. 5 out of 5 stars, easily. 5 out of 5. Extremely solid film.